If your home makes you feel tired and you keep telling yourself that it's because it's cluttered, I want you to pause that thought for a second. Because a home can be clean and organized and all of those things and still feel mentally exhausting at the end of the day. If you don't know, my name is Cooper, and of course, today we're going to be talking about mentally exhausting spaces. I think everybody can relate to this. I think everybody has a room in their home that feels like a box to check off on a to do list, and it just weighs on your mind. It feels exhausting, it feels overwhelming, and it's just draining overall. And no, it's not because the room is too cluttered or too this or too that, because a lot of people do declutter their space. They do buy organizers or they do a full reset, and then they continue to sit down and think to themselves, oh, why does it still feel weird in here? And the answer is not usually more storage containers. It's definitely not minimalism, and it's not even discipline. It's that your home is overwhelming your brain in ways that you were never taught to actually notice. And designers and decorators across the board think about this. And honestly, I feel like this topic is never spoken about either. Like, I think this is such a common emotion amongst people in general, and we never explain why something isn't working or, what the root cause is there. Okay, so here's the first thing that people just don't realize about their home. Your brain is constantly processing every single environment that you walk into. And yes, it happens when you're relaxing, it happens when you're eating dinner, or just sitting on the couch. Your brain is always scanning for patterns, for contrast, movement, information, and decisions. And no, it's not your anxiety or you being dramatic. That's literally just how humans are wired. It's instinctual. And so, if you have a lot of visually competing things in your home, your nervous system is never actually getting that signal to power down properly in the space. Which is why you experience the emotion of walking into some spaces and feeling completely calm, and others will feel like your brain has like 40 tabs open. Psychologists and designers alike call this high cognitive load. Basically, how much mental energy it takes somebody to process the space. And most people will accidentally design homes with a high cognitive load because nobody actually ever explains how things work. And this is where a lot of people tend to get stuck, right? They think, oh, my house feels really overwhelming, so I must need to downsize or get rid of a lot of things. Which, sometimes can be the case. But clutter and mental exhaustion are not the same thing. Because you can still have very few objects in your home and still feel really overstimulated at the end of the day. And you can have a lot of objects and feel totally at ease. The difference here is visual hierarchy. If you guys don't know, visual hierarchy basically means, does your room tell your eyes where to look first, second, and third? Or does every single thing in the room scream at the same volume? Because when everything is equally important or a giant statement piece, your brain has to keep deciding what matters in the space, and as humans, we don't really like that very much. And decision making is just exhausting. It's exhausting for everybody, even those tiny subconscious decisions that we don't even realize we're making. And if your space feels tiring, more often than not, it's because your eyes don't know where to rest. And here's another really important concept that plays into this. There is a big difference between functional noise and visual noise. Functional noise is the noise from things you actually use, right? So that's our coffee machine in the morning, your books, your jacket by the door. While visual noise is something that competes for attention in the room without serving a clear purpose. That would be things like small little tchotchkes or decor items scattered all over the place with no clear intention, or open shelving that just has no structure at all. And on the other hand, you can even have spaces that are overly styled, like a photo shoot, that feel very visually noisy. When your brain keeps encountering objects that it doesn't really understand the role of, it keeps asking, oh, what is this? Is this important? Should I be looking at this? And that constant microprocessing is what's really exhausting. And this is one of the main reasons why designers and decorators will use fewer larger pieces rather than many smaller ones. Because if everything is a statement piece, you guys, nothing actually is. Your home doesn't need more personality, okay? Unless it's completely boring and neutral. It just needs somebody to edit it. Let's talk a little bit about pattern, because this is a really controversial topic in interior design, and people have so many competing opinions about it. Some people love pattern on a couch or curtains, and others will absolutely hate it and never ever include it in their space. And so where's the happy medium, right? Well, I'm gonna expand your mind to something that's not just, a particular fabric pattern here. There's a term called pattern density. And no, that's not just, a bold pattern or, whatever you might think. It's about how many different visual languages in the room are happening all at once. So, this would include like wood grain, fabric textures, color temperatures, art styles, and even things like furniture eras too. If all of those things are different and none of them actually repeat in the space, your brain is never going to settle into a rhythm. It's just gonna feel all over the place and it's gonna be just too much. That's why designers intentionally repeat materials, shapes, and tones so your eyes recognize them and relaxes. And no, I am not saying to pick one accent color and just run with that and that's it, because mixing materials is important, but it's about making sure that there's visual cues that pick up across the room. If you have a tiny little piece of red in your painting, maybe pick that up in a small little throw pillow or a side table or something fun. Or, if you have a bright blue rug, maybe do a chocolate brown piece in the room or a burgundy piece to kind of give it some contrast and balance. Here's a simple rule that I like to follow that makes a pretty big difference. If something appears only once in the room, it feels a little bit more random. Whereas if it appears 3 times in the room, it can feel a little bit more intentional. And no, it's not about being boring. It's about giving your brain something familiar to latch onto. Take this rule with a grain of salt because you definitely don't need to have 3 of every single color that you have in the room. That's not what I'm saying. But maybe if you have, a larger statement piece in the room or something like that, it might be good to carry the colors of that throughout in smaller elements. Another big reason why homes feel so exhausting is decision fatigue. As I said before, I think this is something that we all feel. You'll move into a space, you'll have this empty room, and you're like, okay, what am I supposed to do now? You look up couches, they're all too expensive. You look up coffee tables, they're all too expensive because it's either Wayfair or a $5,000 couch. And you're like, what do I do? Well, this is all because some spaces ask way too many questions, right? I think a lot of people think to themselves, where am I going to sit in here? Where am I going to put this or that? Is this chair going to be decorative? Is it going to be functional? Is this table meant to be used? A lot of people will design rooms or apartments that look good on Instagram, but don't actually answer those real life questions that are so important. And designers will think about this in terms of behavioral mapping, meaning how a body moves throughout the space in general. If your room does not have a clear purpose or intention, your brain is going to stay in problem solving mode because it's going to be confused. It's going to be like, is this a dining room? Is this a living room? Is this a bedroom? And I know what you're saying, Cooper, what if I live in a studio apartment, right? Well, there's ways to compartmentalize that. You can invest in, either a folding screen or rugs to kind of section off areas, things like that. But the bottom line is that you're never going to be able to rest while you're subconsciously managing this room. And here's another invisible problem that I don't think people think of that much. Some rooms are just exhausting because they don't know what they're actually about. Or in other words, they just have way too many focal points. The TV is the focal point, the fireplace is also the focal point, the art on the wall, the little vignette you styled in the corner, in the accent chair. They're all fighting attention in the room and your eyes don't know where to go. And it's really, really important to think about visual gravity here. Where your eyes are going to go immediately when you walk in that room. And when visual gravity starts to be scattered, your eyes are kind of jumping around and you're like, what's going on? What do I do? Where do I go? What is this room? And it just creates a feeling of restlessness. Like, guys, your room doesn't need 5 moments. It just needs one clear anchor with a lot of supporting players. The next thing I wanted to mention is really subtle and small, but it does really make a big difference in design. The big problem here is that homes are not giving your nervous system a break, right? Your bright overhead light is always on, you have high contrast all over the place, and sharp angular edges in every direction. But designers intentionally create zones of visual quiet, or in other words, areas where nothing is demanding attention. Because a restful home isn't low stimulation everywhere. It's about controlled stimulation. You need places where your eyes are able to soften, because if your space is always on all the time, it's never going to feel relaxing. And you might be saying, Cooper, why does nobody ever talk about this, right? It's because this design knowledge is just not popular online because it's not flashy or aesthetic or, whatever. It doesn't sell products or fit into a neatly, before and after picture, and it's not trending on Pinterest. But it's the difference between a home that just looks good and a home that actually supports your life. And that's why a lot of people copy aesthetics and just feel uncomfortable in general. It's because they're missing that structure underneath. So no, if your home feels mentally exhausting, it's not because it needs less stuff. You need clear hierarchy, fewer competing signals, repetition instead of randomness, and spaces that answer questions instead of creating them. Calm does not come from emptiness. It just doesn't. It comes from clarity in a space. And you can have that with color and personality. And once you start to understand this, you can't unsee it. And if you're really struggling with your space, that's literally what I do for a living. I'm an interior decorator. I offer full service design as well as 1-hour consulting sessions where you can get my advice on a specific room in your home. There's a ton of really great information about it on my website, and click the link in the description to schedule your first free consultation. I really appreciate you watching, and I hope this helped a lot of you guys out. I love you guys so, so much, and I will see you very, very soon.